to the Simply His Coffee Shop. Today, we are going to be talking about mothers and motherhood in honor of Mother's Day is coming up. So we thought it would be fitting, obviously, since we're all mothers and we're, well, a few of us are grandmothers.
Graduated to that class.
Right? So we thought it'd be fitting to talk about motherhood and what it means to each one of us and how every stage of that is so important and you have a place no matter what phase you are in your life of, are you a mother yet? Are you trying to get pregnant? You know, all the ins and outs of all of it. So we just thought it'd be a really good conversation to get going.
Yeah. All right. Well, some people have said that, motherhood is a calling. Mm-hmm. And one of the kids had gotten me a little round magnet that goes on the refrigerator, and it said, Mom is a calling, and then Mom, ! Mom, Mom. And I always thought that was cute because that's my calling. And I think in my life, that's been one of my highlights is when I was a mom.
Right.
I mean, I'm still a mom. I'm always going to be a mom. Once a mom, always a mom, right?
Yeah.
Oh, sure.
Well, I can tell you, being a mom is not for sissies.
Oh, my gosh.
No. You got to be tough. You got to be committed. You got to be strong. And you got to be so many things.
All the
There's
hats.
so many hats,
All the
right?
hats. All the hats.
Remember when I was little, I used to tell my mom that this was just something that I had heard, and so I had repeated it back to her because I wanted her to understand in my little childhood perspective what it meant to me, who she was. Mm-hmm. And I told her, I says, Mom, lots of women can have babies, but and be a mother, but not everybody's a mom.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So, and I know you've probably heard that little cliche, Mark, but I used to tell my mom that because to me, my mom wasn't just somebody that put me on earth. She nurtured and she cared for me and she made sure we had what we needed to her own sacrifice. Mm-hmm. Many sacrifices, even to her own hurt.
Yeah.
And some of that, I may get into at some point. But moving on, I just thought that I would share that because that is my first impression of what a mom is who my mom was to me.
Yeah.
And based on that, it's been what I have tried to become as a mom, with modifications along the way because you grow up with your own ideas and you learn your own experiences and you connect with different people that you learn from, and then you become your own independent idea of what mom is, and then you pass that to your little children.
Yeah. Right.
And I'm hoping that I've done a good job in rounding the corner on that one. So, you go back to the idea of what mom, you think about what is mom. Well, if you want to put it in a simple definition, I looked it up, and the dictionary for mom had a really tiny little definition, which I thought was interesting, because I always have thought mom was a bigger, broader, more aspect of what a mother would be.
Yeah.
But a mom is a female parent.
Oh,
that was the definition that I found. So I'm glad to know I'm a female parent.
The end.
Beginning and the end. Then when I looked under mother, it said as a woman in relation to her children or her child. It also went to say female parent. It also said biological mother. Also said foster mother.
Oh.
Also said adoptive mother. Also said stepmother. Surrogate mother, matriarch, mama, mum, progenitress, mumsy. I mean, there are several different ways to say the same thing.
Yeah.
But to me, I've always grown up in mom says all of that. So to me, it was a little bit backwards there. Mother is a female parent. Mom is all of the other aspects of every hat she wears.
Right.
Well,
and is defined by all of those different descriptions.
Yeah.
I have a shirt, though, because of the progression of motherhood and being a mom. It says mom, mama, mother, bruh. Or something to that effect. What does it actually say? Is it like that?
That pretty much sums it up, right, Kate?
That's funny. That's hilarious.
I was pointing at Kate. She's off camera, but she's helping with the cameras and stuff today, but yeah, so I have a shirt that says that because, that kind of sums it up too.
Oh,
Is
exactly.
because, during different stages too, the kids might call you something different.
Right.
Like
Oh, yeah.
when they're starting to learn to talk, it's mama, mama, because it's easier for them to say. And then,
Right.
it progresses, mom, bruh. And now I'm just bruh. So,
Yo.
it's hilarious. Exactly.
So, like,
Or dude.
yeah, you have these really cool names, but where in the world did my kids come up with Mooster and Rooster? Those were two of my nicknames that they called me, and it was all in fun.
That's hilarious.
And I don't even remember now where it came up, and I don't have any of my kids here to tell me that. But it would, I
That's
always thought it was Roo,
hilarious.
and it's like R-U-E, like Roo, Rooster, and Mooster. I don't know, but it was always fun. Mooster, Rooster. They just little silly names that you come up with, and of course we had names we called our kids too.
Oh,
That,
of course.
Oh, yeah.
that we would banter back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, like, Allie was wonderful, wonderful. Allie. And she would go get me an iced tea. She knew if I called her that, she was. But I love this aspect here of what the definition of motherhood is as a mother in the dictionary. And I was very, very pleased. And I was blessed, actually, to read all of these other included aspects of motherhood.
Yeah.
I love this because I would love us right now to start our show inclusive of all of these other
Absolutely.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
ideas of mom, being
Absolutely.
a mom.
Yep.
The stepmom,
Yeah.
the surrogate mom,
Yep.
the adoptive mom.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm thinking that when I read that, it came to mind, I knew a woman who actually had raised up 5 or 6 of her own, plus 6 or 7 adoptive children.
Wow.
She had a whole house full, but she just couldn't say no to these little kids, and they were all
Right.
wonderful, wonderful little kids. Grew up to be very, community oriented and wonderful people. So some women just can do
Oh,
that.
I know.
Well, and we've had Penny on our
Yes.
show, Penny Dutton. If you've missed her shows, go back
Yes,
and watch those.
please.
Those are her testimony is incredible.
Yes.
But she has never been able to have a biological child,
Right.
and what she went through with all of the infertility and everything, and then how she's became a mother through adoption
Right.
and
Yes.
being a foster mom as well,
Right.
and how that's been an incredible journey to watch
Yeah.
and be a part of in her life. So,
Yeah.
I mean, you don't have to give birth to a baby to
Right.
become a mother.
Well, and you think about, too, there's a lot of women my generation that are now raising their children's children because of
Right.
addiction or,
Yep.
criminal
Right.
justice system
Life
issues.
itself.
Yeah,
Mental health
exactly.
issues
Yeah,
even.
exactly. Absolutely.
Yeah.
So,
So the
that,
grandma has now become the mom.
yeah. So
Maybe
that
it's-
definition,
Yeah,
that
absolutely.
scope is pretty wide.
Yep, yep, I love that. It means to bring a child up with care and affection, which I love that because that kind of fits the mom.
Yeah, for sure.
It does.
I think mother or mom, whatever you call it, the whole idea of what a mom or a mother is, whether it's a biological child or an adopted child or a foster child,
Yeah.
I love those people out there that actually do love their foster children like their own.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I love those. And those foster kids, they never forget that.
No, they
Right,
don't.
Right.
I love it. So kudos to
don't.
all of you moms out there.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's one aspect. And we're going to talk a little bit later too about getting into the grandma aspect.
Yeah.
That's further on in the episode.
Well, it's funny. I think about I was probably 16. I grew up in the Southern Baptist Church, Hellfire and Damnation. Get saved, get your fire insurance. Don't go to hell. Sorry. But I was 16, and I can remember just like I was there today. I was driving in my car. I was on 65, headed north. I had just passed over the 76 overpass, and I remember looking up in the clouds and going, please don't come back, because we were learning about rapture or whatever in Revelation. I was like, please, Lord, just please do not come back until I'm a mom. Let me be a mom before you come back. Mm-hmm. And at 16 years old, how that was just like such an integral part of what I just knew
Right.
was me. That makes
I
sense.
love that you went there because that's exactly what I was hoping to talk about next is the aspect of the pre-mama years of your life,
Yeah.
as a little child growing up. Catherine, I'm going to talk to you right now. Because growing up on the islands, I want to know, as a mom, as a child, what was your aspect of mothering?
Well, I always wanted to be a mom, even as a very young child. So, I had my dollies and I carried them around. And because in the islands, they did a lot of baby wearing. So they had like the strip of cloth that would go around, and that would be tied. And then you'd carry your baby, right there or on your back or whatever. So, I had kind of a nanny because my parents were missionaries in the islands. And so to help my mom out because she had, a lot of duties to do with raising a family, but then also she was one of the teachers at the Bible school. So, I mean, she did a lot of different things.
Right.
So she did need the extra help, but then also it was a good way for somebody else to also make a living. So they were also giving back to the community by hiring a nanny to help with us kids, They also call them a house girl. So it was never like we thought we were better than anybody, but it was, again, a way to help the community or somebody in the community to earn money and things like that. So I had a nanny named Priscilla, and she would carry me around and everything. And so I kind of got some of my first views of motherhood from all of these island women, and everybody shared the responsibility.
For all
Everybody,
the kids.
exactly.
Right.
Everybody watched out for everybody else's kids. You'd swap them around. There was never really anybody that was a quote unquote orphan. Even if a mother had died during childbirth or something, an aunt or a sister or somebody else would come along and then they would take the baby as their own, and that was just their baby now. So there was never really anyone that was left motherless, if that makes sense, because everybody, again, it was a community.
Right.
Wow,
So
that's
the whole thing of it takes a village.
Right. No kidding.
They actually lived that every single day.
Wow.
So, I grew up with all of the kids around, and even as a teenager and stuff, I was like the little mama to all of the kids. If they saw me walking by, they'd all start crying because, hey, why aren't you coming to pick me up? Why aren't you carrying me right now? Why are you leaving me? So I had a whole bunch of little babies that would.
I think there's a picture.
There
of
is
you.
a picture.
Yeah.
I had 3 babies on me. We had a system worked out how I could carry all of them.
And you can see the smile in her face.
Oh, I know. Yeah.
The happiness of that moment.
Right.
She
So,
was,
yeah.
She was little surrogate mama to all of these little babies.
I know, it was cute.
Yeah,
That's
we
sweet.
always had babies following us around or doing something. So, but yeah, I always wanted to be a mom. That was my biggest want in life for a
Right.
long time.
Right.
So what's cute about that is that I think of your family, Becca is the one that I have seen carry the baby dolls more so than me. And if, she's got 3 girls, and the one who plays babies most was Becca. And of course, Becca's getting a little bit older now, but
Yeah, she's 10 now.
she loved them baby dolls when she was little. Gotta have them.
Yeah.
That was her favorite Christmas.
That was, I remember,
baby
we have
dolls.
a video of her squealing in delight. She was what, probably 2,
Teeny
maybe
tiny.
3? Yeah,
Yeah.
she was about 2 when she got this little set of baby dolls, and she was so excited to get baby dolls.
That's so cute.
But what's ironic about that, though, is all of my kids, though, have loved babies. And especially like with Kate and Nita, they were a lot older when the younger ones came along. So they've already experienced being kind of second mama to
Right.
the younger kids.
Right.
So all my kids, whether they played with dolls or not, they always have enjoyed babies and talk about when they get older
Yeah.
having kids and stuff. So that's been pretty fun to watch.
Yes. The idea of each one of your girls being wired differently. And of course, Thomas
Right.
is, we'll talk about him closer
my
to Father's
gravy.
Day.
Right.
He will be a great topic for Father's Day.
Oh
Just
my
kidding.
goodness, gravy.
Just kidding. We read in Psalms 139, 13 and 14, "For you formed my inward parts. You knitted me together in my mother's womb. I praise you, for I am fearfully and wonderfully made. Wonderful are your works. My soul knows it very well." I love that because it makes me think of when I was in my mom's womb.
Right.
God knitted me together with his careful little handiwork.
Right. Right.
And then he created me, and that is who I am. And so when I look at Catherine being raised in the islands and her innate nature
Right.
to just be a mom
To
and
be a
nurture the
nurturer.
neighborhood kids, and how that they just vied to be with her and fought over who she's going to carry
Right.
that day. That's cute, and I love it very much. But God makes us all different, and we have different things that we do when we get older.
Oh, yeah.
But I wanted to just remind people, in the womb, there's this little miracle happening.
Yeah.
And so before you ever have your first one, you kind of wonder what it's like. You know, there's no way you can even imagine it either.
Right.
No.
But when you have that baby in there and you finally realize this is happening.
Right.
The thing that I want to be a mama, is now coming for real.
Yeah, exactly.
Reality is setting in, and you've got this whole little life inside you growing.
Mm-hmm.
And to those people who have not had that opportunity, please don't feel left out, because I'm
Right.
telling you, what you do is equally as amazing as you're
Absolutely.
taking and nurturing this little thing that God has knitted
Right.
and then has put together and has formed. And you get
Yeah.
to be the one to take care of it.
Yeah.
Well, and there's an actual visual of a pregnant woman and her baby's in there. And then actually, because the baby is forming with all of her eggs and everything else, so you were actually part of your grandma.
No, I was just getting ready to say that.
How cool
Yeah.
is that to think about, is that you were basically formed almost even before your mom even conceived you.
See, I think about that with Harper, because
Right.
when I carried Stephanie, I also carried Harper,
Yes.
which is, pretty
It's
cool because the
mind-blowing.
relationship that we've got, because they'll, everybody will say she looks like Stephanie, but she acts just like her mama.
Yeah, isn't that interesting?
Yeah, she wants a strong red lip and a nice heel. She's 7 and a handbag. I don't know how that happened.
Yeah, but don't you love that?
Oh, I love it. And
That's-
she'll go through my room and she'll be like, Mama, when you die, can I have those shoes? So I've got like sets of shoes that this is going in the will, I guess. It's just, it's just what she does.
Oh my goodness sakes.
But when you think about it, how
The
interesting is
biological.
that
Yeah.
with how God has designed us,
Oh,
and
yeah.
even with this scripture, you formed my inward parts, but you were basically being created the moment
Right.
your mother was created.
Wow, that's very mind blowing, actually.
Isn't
Yeah.
that interesting? Because I had never actually put that together until I had seen that somewhere, and I was like, oh my goodness,
Mm-hmm.
that is incredible.
I've heard a little bit of talk on that, and I haven't had a chance to do a lot of the scientific research, but it also explains a little bit about how the mom has a bond with the child that's different than the dad. Not saying it's any stronger, it's just
Right.
different.
Right.
It's different, yeah.
And
They're a part of you.
yeah,
But, it's like, I can remember thinking it's exhausting growing a human,
yeah,
but that's what you're doing. You're,
yeah,
yep.
you were
growing the human.
growing another person fully.
So hang in with childhood for a few more moments, because I want people out there to really get a chance to remember and reminisce when they were young. I would like for them to just kind of, life is so fast.
It is
It
fast.
passes
Oh,
by
man.
so
It
fast.
does.
So just stop with me and go backwards in time just a little bit and tell me about the aspects. We already know that Catherine was the neighborhood mommy and loved dolls. What about you, Charisse?
Oh, I'm the same.
Oh, yay,
Yeah,
cute.
I can remember. I was so excited one Christmas to I got the Cabbage Patch doll, right?
Oh.
I was so excited. And then I opened it up, and her birth certificate, her name was Dorcas from the Bible. But I didn't put that together as a little
No.
kid. You put that together like Dork Us because
No.
of little kids that make fun of things.
Exactly.
And I was
That's
like,
exactly where my brain went.
it's my kid. His name Dorcas.
I was disappointed because I got a boy Cabbage Patch. I really wanted a girl,
A girl one.
Cabbage Patch, but I got a boy one.
It's hilarious.
Anyways, I
But-
still have him actually.
Oh, that's cool. That is cool.
Cute.
I
That's
still
very
have
cool.
him.
Well,
But yeah, I was, I can remember my dad had a friend that they had a baby, and I was like, give me that kid. Just give me that. I was just the one in church or the one to just go get the kid. Just, that was just,
cute. Yes.
what I did.
Yep, holding all the babies.
Exactly.
I think between me and my little sister, she was probably more of the dolly kind of little girl. And I think it's because in the nature of the home in which we grew up, I kind of was the older one. And she was my one that I watched out for and protected. And so she was my dolly in
Yeah,
a sense.
she was your
I didn't
baby.
need the doll because I had the real thing.
Right.
So we had that dynamic. But she was more apt to carry the dolly around. And I actually had her doll, her baby doll, clear up until my house burnt down.
Oh.
And it was on our bed when it burned. But I had it for many years.
Wow.
But yeah. So I think that's the way we're wired differently, and circumstances cause us to learn
yeah.
different things and take different stands, and
Right.
which I think is interesting also, because when you're thinking about yourself as a mom, if you don't fit that cookie cutter that you carry dolls, doesn't mean that you're not a good
Oh, right.
mom.
Nurturer.
Oh,
Right.
no.
Nurturer is
Yeah.
a great word.
Yeah.
Because even though I didn't carry the dolls, I nurtured my
Exactly.
baby sister more so than my older brothers.
Yeah.
But we were very close.
Yeah.
But as far as like what did I play with? I played with a little horse about that tall named Lightning.
Shocked face.
I know, right?
In my pocket. And when Dad said, load up, we're moving, I stick him in my pocket and take him with me.
And then you wouldn't have to lose him.
I get that. So I would carry him with me.
Wow.
Yeah, so when I was about 5 years old, we were leaving the Solomon Islands and we weren't going back. So, and I still remember this, and this is part of why I ended up getting a Cabbage Patch doll. But when we left the Solomon Islands, my mom and dad sold all of my dollies.
Oh.
I didn't get to keep any of my dollies.
Oh.
And so, and I still remember a lot of those ones, but I never got to
Aw.
take them with me because we were coming back to the States to itinerate and then go somewhere else. So I lost all my babies.
The only thing I could
Then I
say
had to
is
get new ones.
the only thing that I could say is that immediately my brain went to this place where all of your little dollies are probably well cared for in other little.
Oh.
Yeah,
sure.
they probably
In the
were
islands,
because
they were probably
I don't
well.
even know what happened to most of them, but it's kind of
So-
ironic.
As growing up and carrying all of these dollies and pretending to be a mom,
Mm-hmm.
did you spank your children? What kind of things did you play tea party with them? What was going through your mind as a mom at the age of 5 or 6 or 7 years old? Wagging your finger? Don't talk back to me. I'm just
Probably.
wondering. I'm asking. I'm not saying that's how I was. I'm just asking. Every little kid is different.
Man, I don't remember.
Did I ask the impossible that we
Oh
go
my
back
God.
that far?
Yeah, the card index 404 error page not found.
Well, let's start with the younger one, Catherine.
Oh, I don't know about that. My head is like just as. Honestly, I don't know, but I think there was sometimes, especially if you were really getting into the whole playhouse type thing and stuff. Yeah, there was probably some finger waggling going
Right.
on, and you go have to sit in timeout.
And how
and
you
blah, blah,
mimic,
blah, and
what you see.
Yeah, you're definitely mimicking what you're seeing going on in your own home
Right.
/ other people's homes and
Right.
stuff like that. So yeah, absolutely.
That's
cute.
funny. I can remember almost every Sunday, because where we were going to church at the time, there was a set of twins, a boy and a girl, and then they had an older sister. And I was really good friends with the girl twin. And their mom was a really good cook. And every Sunday she made fried chicken. And so I was like, can I go home with them after church and then, come back to church that night and they'll bring me back? And probably if I was to go to the house now, the basement seemed ginormous. And we would do little role play stuff and,
Yeah.
Fun.
have like a little car that we would drive around the basement or
Right.
whatever.
How fun is that?
Yeah, I know. It's kind of fun to think about. And all the Barbies and the scenario with your Barbies and get in the camper, we're going on a trip, kind of stuff. And the boy what's funny is the boy, because he was raised in a house of girls, he was forced to, you're Ken.
Yep.
You just you're Ken.
Yep.
Play your role, sir.
Well, my little
You're
brother,
welcome.
Thano, he always had to play Ken or the dad, whatever. And then he also, though, had a big, because I never had like the actual Barbie vehicles. I had Barbies, but my grandmother or my aunts would send them to me for Christmas or birthdays or whatever. And then a couple times I had to earn the money to buy one. But I never had like the actual Barbie versions of the vehicles, but Thano had this Tonka Jeep. He had like the old Tonka Jeep that my Barbies could actually fit in. So then we had to compromise and, learn how to play together so that my Barbies could use his Tonka Jeep
That's funny.
as their vehicle. It was really fun.
Too cute.
That is cute.
Well, we had a few of those, but mainly We did. We played, my sister and I, mostly with stuffed animals. But we did have. She had her dollies, and then we had our stuffed animals. As you were playing as a small child, did you see yourself as a good mom, balanced mom, or did you even think about it at all? Probably not.
I don't think we were even reflected.
Right?
You're just playing and mimicking what you see as an adult. So
looking back on your former self, do you think you was a good mom, or what's your opinion of your motherhood at the age of 5?
I probably was a very accommodating mom.
Yeah, I think probably
Coddling a little too much.
I think probably we would have a good perspective because we probably had good moms. And we base our motherhood based on our mom. And so for me, I had a pretty good idea as a young child that I was being a good mom when I was the mom, when we played the mom.
Not everybody has good moms, though.
No, I know this.
That's true.
I know this is why we're talking to us.
Right.
The people that are out there listening, I'm hoping that this will help them to find a better place, or if they need that, or whatever.
Right, or a mentor.
We're just having girl talk right now. Just talking about us as being moms and the aspects of what we've experienced. So if you have other experiences too, outside of who your little realm was, you can also at any time feel free to share that. I was going to ask, now that we've grown up a little bit and we're kind of like maybe preteens, what thoughts of motherhood do you have, or did you have, or did you? When I was preteen, I was probably not thinking much about being a mom.
Right.
I was just coping with life, pretty much. You're in 7th grade. Need I say more?
Right. No, exactly.
It's pretty like that was my worst year.
Yeah.
I didn't have anything except I got to get through this.
Right.
Was my mind. Just curious.
Yeah.
Well, my sister had gotten pregnant, and it was kind of a mess, and she came and lived with us. I was about 14 when she had her. So I was, again, thrown into basically being a surrogate mom, and I wanted that role so badly anyway. So, I mean, I literally had my own live-in baby doll at that point, So for me, in junior high type areas, I was a mom. I took care of that baby, changed her diapers. The only thing I couldn't do, obviously, was nurse her and stuff like that. So, but I did everything else, bathed her, took care of her, took her on walks, did everything. So as a preteen, I was almost a mom, kind of, It felt very much that way to a degree, just because she lived with us and I took care of her.
And coming home from the islands, there weren't a whole bunch of other little ones in the neighborhood, so you loved it. You adapted to that.
Yeah.
You latched on to that.
Because when we came back to the States, at that point, I think she was about 2. So she grew up out there the first little bit of her life. So, yeah, that was my teen years, basically, was helping to take care of my niece. So, for me, it never really went away.
Right. Right.
She went straight from that and just moved on.
I did, yeah.
So you're a little bit older now, and life has passed by a little bit, and now you're kind of like, you're married and you're expecting your first child, right? How fun is that?
Yeah.
And now you realize that you've got one coming. What was that like for you guys the first time? Because, I mean, if you've had more than one, it's a little bit different each time.
Right.
But basically, you kind of get the idea. Were you excited? Did you watch your baby bump daily?
Oh, yeah. For me, I was this tall in 6th grade. And when my first, I was like 100 pounds soaking wet. So, I looked like I swallowed a watermelon after 3 months. So it just, I just loved, when I was pregnant with the kids, I loved being pregnant. That was just, I loved it. It was just the best,
And what's funny is so many people are like, I love my kids, but I hated being pregnant.
Isn't that crazy?
So
I
many
embraced
people
it.
have different views on
The
that.
delivery's different. That not so much. Because with the first one, I was like, I'm a woman. I'm going to do this. I'm not taking no drug. I was scared to death to even look at a Tylenol. I mean, I was just, because you're so worried about making sure that everything's perfect and nothing goes wrong and, all the things. I wouldn't even sit on a public toilet. Not that I sit on a public toilet now, but I mean, I was just hyper about it. I'm going to do this. This no big deal. I got this. And Lord have mercy. No.
Your delivery was not what you expected.
They sent me home Saturday, and I wound up having to come back Sunday because I was in hard, horrible, horrible labor. To where you lay there and you're almost half in a coma. I am never doing this again. I am never doing this again. I am never. Then you do.
And then you do.
And you do.
Yes.
Because you forget about it.
Yes.
Yeah.
In fact, John 16:21 says, a woman giving birth to a child has pain because her time has come. But when the baby is born, she forgets the anguish because of her joy that a child has joined her in the world.
Oh, my gosh. Yes.
And I tell you what, I've heard that said before when I was growing up. But whenever you get older, you realize that that's really real. And then you do it again, and then you do it again.
Right.
And then you do it as many times as what you think you need to, and then we're done. So for me, 3 was my number. But yeah, that's also true.
So, bouncing off of that, though, I always loved being pregnant too. But I had been told that we would never have any kids. So, we were looking, at other options. Because between Joe and I, we had some tests ran because we weren't getting pregnant. So we went in, to do our due diligence,
Right.
figure out what was going on. And they said, yeah, basically your chances of getting pregnant are pretty much 0. I'm like, oh, okay, well, that's not my favorite, but
Right.
okay, we can still adopt and we can do all these other things. So it's fine.
Right.
Not a big deal. So we were starting to look at other avenues of like adoption and things like that. And actually, the day before I found out that I was pregnant with Kate, we were at the adoption agency and we basically just had to figure out which country, because we didn't want to do domestic adoption at the time. We wanted to do international. So all we had to do was then decide, were we going to adopt from Guatemala or Russia, and I think there was one other place, but we were leaning more towards Guatemala. So we just then had to fill out the correct paperwork because, different countries require different things.
Right.
And so we were getting ready to do that. And the only reason I had taken the stupid pregnancy test anyways was because we were also getting ready to go on vacation. And I didn't want to have my period on vacation.
Right.
So I was like, it's worked out every time I take a pregnancy test, either that afternoon or the next day I start. So let's just get this on.
That's funny.
So
you're
only
psyching
reason,
yourself
yes,
out. Oh, that's hilarious.
the only reason I took the stupid test to begin with
Let's get this over with.
was to just get this over with because it just needs to happen anyway. So let's go. And it started turning the second line or the first line, it goes up the first line. And if the first line doesn't show up and the second line shows up, then you're not pregnant. Right. So the first line started showing up and I'm like, that's never happened before. Wait a minute. And then I had to go back and actually read the directions yet again,
Right.
even though I've
Did I
taken
read this
50
right?
of them.
Right.
And then I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm actually pregnant. What? I started freaking out. So then I ran to grab Joe. I'm like, Joe, you got to come see this. Oh my gosh. So then I woke him up, and he's like all half asleep. And it's like, what? What's going on? I'm like, look. He's like, what does it even mean? Because he just thought I was like ovulating or something like that.
does
And I
this
was like,
mean?
what does this mean? And I'm like, I'm pregnant, look. And so then he had to read the entire pamphlet that
Of course
comes
he
with
did.
the
Of course he did. Front and
the
back.
test and
Front and
everything. He's like, are you sure? I'm like,
That's what it says.
it says it. What are we going to do? So then we ended up calling my my gynecologist, who's also an OB, and so then they got me in to do the blood test because we were like, we have to make sure that
Right.
this isn't a joke.
Right.
This is a very mean joke if it is. And so we went and had the blood test done and everything. And And now she's 19 almost.
Oh, my.
There she is. Oh my
She's
great.
almost
awesome.
19.
That's weird.
When you said, Jill says, what does it even mean? It's like, I have heard her say that. I can't tell you how many times. What does it even mean?
But that was my first experience with finding out that I was pregnant. I was so excited.
I'll tell
So
you this
very
really
excited.
quickly. On my first one, finding out, because they didn't have those little tests. So you actually had to go in and do a urine sample, and then somehow it involved a rabbit, and they call you 3 days later.
Did the rabbit die?
And I did, yeah. So I guess I poured a little rabbit. I had expensive rabbit.
Killed a rabbit?
I did, and I just didn't know this. I didn't really understand the rabbit test, but apparently
Right.
it worked. But I had to go to a payphone and use a phone because we didn't have a phone.
That
So I
is
had to
so
wait 3 or 4
funny.
days, then go to a payphone and call and hope some human would answer.
Right.
Because this was before answering machines and all that.
Before home
So
phones were in a lot of
thankfully,
places.
someone did answer and informed me, yes, you are expecting. And I'm like, are you sure? Yes, ma'am. The rabbit test is positive. So I just thought that was funny because so much has changed since then.
Oh, I know.
I just thought that would be a fun little off-the-wall story there to tell. But that's my story of how I found out. So,
Pretty interesting, huh?
yeah, we went from rabbit tests to that, all in five seconds.
That's hilarious. But
There is
all
so
right.
much more we could carry on with.
Oh, I know. So I think let's do this again next week and talk some more about this because I think we still have a lot more to go.
Well, we can sneak another one in, right?
Oh, absolutely. Well, thank you so much for joining us this week, and we'll be back next week to continue this conversation about motherhood and the ups and downs and everything in between. Thank you so much for joining us today in the Simply His Coffee Shop.